make it. So, okay, let's get going. So I'm not Irene Lilford. I don't know who that is with the first name. So Jenna, Allison, Irene, and Daly is I don't remember first.
I'm Sharon.
Sharon, right.
And Lilford is Sally.
Oh,
Hi,
Sally.
Kate, it's
Okay.
Sally.
Hi.
I don't know why it's come up from Lilford. I don't often use Zoom, so I'm also, I don't know why it's just put Lilford, but I am Sally.
Perfect. Oh,
So,
Allison, another face. Yay. Yay. Okay, wonderful. Before I kind of jump into what's available, and then we can go into what's going on in school, do you have any questions for me off the bat? Any questions about who I am? Nothing. Okay.
No.
Okay, perfect. So there's quite a lot available for you to support your well-being, and that's really my kind of sole purpose is to be.
Oh gosh, no, I've lost you.
Oh, we can still hear you, Irene. Is to really be your advocate around well-being, certainly within the school, and in any way, shape, or form of how we can add to that outside of school. So you should have all received an email from Teachable, which allowed you to log into the online school. If you haven't, it's not a problem. I'm going to follow up and check up on all of this. I know a lot of people have, there's lots of emails and things get missed. So that online school, there's nothing to do there. It's just content that's available. They are SACE accredited courses. I really, the emotional safety, creating emotional safety course is, I don't know, I think I've had about 2,000 teachers through that course. So it's, yeah, about that. So it's quite a, yeah, it's been really well received. So if you have time, I know it's like a swear word in our lives at the moment, time. But that is one that I'd recommend. But there's nothing you need to do there. Also, any webinars, any extra things I do, it all gets put into Teachable. And often I put up extra little bits and pieces. There's also a place where you can ask questions, and so it's fairly interactive as well. So that's Teachable. Then once a month we have what we're calling support pods, and they are run by, we have 4 at the moment. They're run by different facilitators. One is an art therapist, one's I can't even remember the list of things, but they're all qualified therapists in what they do, except for one, Sue. She's an ex-teacher, and she works with storytelling. So using storytelling to find all sorts, explore emotional wellness and different things, and it's a lovely process. So that's available once a month. Obviously not recorded. It's, show up and be part of it, confidential. And yeah, if there's time, if you can fit it in one of those a month, I would highly recommend. And the art therapy one is also fun. I don't know if there's any creatives amongst us. Then we have sort of smaller interactions. We have a Telegram group, which is teachers ask questions, not on the group, like directed to me, and then I will explore topics. So we've just explored anxiety and how we can manage it in ourselves, and then some tips and tools for your kids as well. The next one we're going to explore is like focusing on some bright spots, and like, because often we can look at the negative and not take a look at the bright elements. And then the last one I want to speak about tonight is there's sort of mini, I'm calling them 10-day journeys, but what they are is that for 10 days you're in a Telegram group, and you get an activity, like a small invitation to do an exercise or an activity a day. And the idea of this is that something done gently, slowly, over a period of time, lays a foundation. And I'm hoping that it's small enough to not cause stress, but big enough to make an impact. So the next one starts on Saturday, and it's all about regulation. So finding more inner calm, more inner stillness. And so I'm all in, you know, like as much as this is for everyone, I cannot get enough of regulation. The more I develop it in myself, the more I understand there's more to come still. You know, I can find deeper places of calm and stillness. So I'll put that all in the email, which I'll send out with the recording tomorrow, and anything else we talk about tonight. I think I've covered everything. Sorry for the bombardment, but I wanted to just get it all on the page. Does anybody have any questions about what I've spoken about? Oh, and wait, there's one more very important one, is access to therapy. So qualified therapists, it's there. You just send Gabby an email. I'll send out her details again, and she is the case coordinator for this program, and she will set you up with one of our, I think they've got about 8, 10, I don't know, a whole lot of therapists working in that organization. So it's all covered. There's no cost, there's nothing, and that is private therapy, you know, for you. So if you're feeling like you need a little bit of support, or you want to work through something, yeah, please do access it. It is there. Okay, now I think I'm done. I knew I was forgetting something important. Right, so I'll ask my question again. Does anybody have any questions about any of the things that I've mentioned? No? Okay, super. So you can use the chat box also if you want to ask a question. Last night we found that I'll just tap gobbledygook so you can see where it pops up there. So if you want to type a question in instead of asking it, that's also perfect. So, right, over to you. I'd love to know what's happening at school. What are some of the challenges? Yeah, do you have any thoughts about what could make your lives a bit easier?
Kate, I think one of the things that we're finding quite difficult is the number of lists we need to look at every day. Lists of comorbs, lists of isolations, lists of duties, lists of lessons, lists of, I mean, you name it. And there's this constant fear that you've forgotten to look at a particular list and you'll have forgotten a duty. And I mean, I've made this timetable for myself that's in 25 different colors, trying to highlight things that I've got to do, and I just know I'm going to forget one of them at some point. And so I think that's a pretty constant fear. I don't know whether anybody agrees with me.
I agree with you, Alison. It's Irene.
Hi, Irene. Yeah.
I think it's also that fear of getting into trouble because you've missed something along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, even though, you know, I'm probably also sending out a few lists as a grade controller, but there is the fear of missing something because you've got directions from all levels, you know. So I definitely agree with Alison. Today I left school, I'm thinking, I'm sure I've missed something.
And then for me, I'm finding management sort of unavailable. You've got a question, or you've got a problem, or you've got something, and they are, and I don't blame them. I think they are troubleshooting as fast as they possibly can. But there's this sort of feeling of, I mean, I can't think when I saw Jenna in the flesh. I mean, you know, you can go weeks without seeing a colleague. And I think for a lot of us, the camaraderie of the staff room, for instance, we're missing, you know.
What
We
staff
don't have
room?
anywhere to meet and chat.
I heard. It's now the
Yeah.
isolation room. Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
Yeah, but I think the lack of having a place to be and to see each other, and we don't have a staff room, we don't have a place
Yeah.
to be together and to communicate and just spend time together and catch up, and like we come to school but we don't feel like there's a place of belonging. So when you're not teaching, when you're not teaching, like, where do you go, what do you do? Because
Come to the library.
Yeah, but I'm always in the library, Irene. That's where I live.
As long as you throw the kids out.
Like, we don't get to see everyone else because we have to find a place to locate ourselves to do work. And I think the lack of that staff room, it's difficult.
I think the laughter around school's also gone amongst the staff, because you rushing from one place to the next thing, or you checking a list because you're scared you missed a matric invigilation or a lesson or something. There's definitely that laughter and chatter. You know, the girls are back, so that's nice.
Yes.
But it's nice to have noise. Yeah, it's nice to have the noise around the school again. But the staff, there's definitely, I've missed the laughter around school and the jokes or 5 minutes to catch up. So I agree with Jenna and everyone.
Yeah.
And it came up last night as well. So and the thing with connection is it does so much more. You know, connection and belonging, it lowers our stress. Yeah. It invites, like you say, that as soon as stress starts to lower, then creativity sparks and lightness comes. And when we're in this kind of must get stuff done, we're all a little bit still in survival mode, right? Like, we've just got to get through this. And when we're there, things are black and white, and there's no play is not available because we're not feeling safe. You know, play and safety go hand in hand, as with creativity and thinking and all of that. So absolutely 100%, and it's on the top of my list to talk to Russell about on Monday. Yes, if I have my way, things will be different in school very soon. No, it's essential. If you are, as teachers, are not okay, you are not going to be able to meet the girls' needs. It's impossible, and then everyone's halfway instead of thriving. And I mean, I could get on my soapbox about this. So I just want to go back a little bit. Alison, you mentioned management. I don't know the school structure. What do you mean by management?
All right, so there's Russell and 3 deputies. And then there are HODs, and then there are heads of subject, and then there are heads of grade. I mean, sorry, Sadie, I didn't mean to put you last. But, you know.
Please don't worry.
And there was a time when you could pop in and ask a question, or just chat, or you know, you had a problem,
like a bit of communication lately.
Yeah, they're in meetings all the time, and you know, and one understands why. I mean, we do, but it's something else that's gone from our lives, and it's. I feel that it's very much a them and an us. Yeah, I feel that disconnect, but between, well, except for Sally, who's always got a encouraging word to say.
Thanks, Alison, but you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sally, so Jen, I'm interested in what you wanted to say, and then Sally, did you want to add something from your perspective?
No. I think it is very busy. It's a constant. I just don't know what it is, but I think, Alison, everyone's disjointed at the moment, because everyone's got their roles and trying to do what they need to do. That I think the whole, it's what we said earlier. There's that lack of staff togetherness, really. Just to build the staff together and you try. I mean, I know I'm a grade controller, but I'm also just a teacher, so you definitely, even though I've got my role, you do miss seeing the teachers or the registration teachers, along the corridor, or even your subject teachers that like the commerce or English or science, or library, all from different departments. We're definitely missing, missing that chat. And if you do chat, it's between a lesson or a break, or you're off to a duty. You don't have that, that time, just to sit down and bounce ideas off. I just feel like I'm sending emails all the time. I'm sorry, there are quite a few grade 8 teachers. But just from a grade controller perspective, you just emailing. That's the only way you can contact people. It's definitely this whole COVID thing. I mean, you find it. I mean, we've all got our cameras on, but we've taught for the last 5 months with dots on our screens,
And we don't even know if they're there.
No, but also, so we leave the girls out of it, but just, I don't feel like as a grade controller, I see my staff, my grade 8 teachers, and there's 20 of us, and I don't think I see any of them much, other than Jenna or Alison, down the corridors quickly between lessons. So,
So again, the sense of needing to make time for connection. That's what I'm hearing. And and also I noticed it. So I consult in quite a few organizations, and a lot around this kind of stuff, like how can we manage what we're doing, this kind of COVID stuff better. And I'm seeing how people were they put structures in place to just get through the lockdown and all of that, and now we almost need a revision of how things work. But it's almost like we can't revise anything because we don't have time to revise anything. But those I think are on very necessary conversations. And I had a conversation with a teacher this morning that was struggling at a school, and her HOD was saying, we just put our heads down and hang in till the end of the year. And I just said, can't do that. The kids in this school in particular, I said, the kids aren't coping. It's not the time. I don't believe it's the time to do that. Like we need to be taking a pause, even if it feels like it's the last thing we should be doing, just so that we can align better to the current situation, which includes these small things. Where do you go to have a cup of coffee?
And I think it's also the unknown. Us teachers, all of us are organized people, and it's this constant unknown of what the next day is going to bring, or the next week's going to bring, or the next couple of months are going to bring, what's going to happen next year. It's this constant underlying, I don't know what the others feel, this constant underlying of the unknown. And that drives me insane. I've had to learn to adapt big time, but the unknown is just killing me, because you just don't know.
And sorry, I'll go ahead.
No, I was just saying the one nice thing has been in my department, my lab has kind of become our meeting room where we come in and out and everything. So for me, I've actually enjoyed sort of having quite a bit more interaction with the people in my own department. So that's been nice if they come and sit in my lab, and of course their labs are being used and people are popping in and around. But I do feel, like everybody else was saying, from the rest of the staff, I do feel disjointed.
Yeah, I'm really I'm hearing that, and it came through strongly yesterday as well. Okay. So is there anything else you want to say on the topic of this disjointedness? I mean, I think we've covered quite a lot. Are there
Yeah,
any?
I was
Yeah.
just saying the communication. I think there's just been, usually, I mean, the school's generally quite good in communicating decisions made, or, I mean, even if it's just a simple decision and communicating it down to the teachers. And I think there's been a bit of lack of that of late. And decisions are being made and then it's not being communicated to us. And then we're just expected to know that this is what's been decided, but it hasn't been communicated to us. And yeah, it's just, I just feel like there needs to be a bit more consistency in terms of communication of decisions that have been made by management that affect us and that teachers need to know about. Yeah. I mean, simple things like uniforms, like the girls being allowed to wear their jerseys outside of school. Like, I didn't know that, and I was telling girls to take their jerseys off. Meanwhile,
and then they look at you squiff,
their jerseys outside of school, but I didn't know that because no one communicated that to us.
Well, I only learned that now.
Yeah, exactly. So like stupid things like that, but like those things need to be communicated to us so that we're not telling girls to take their jerseys off outside of school because that's the normal rule. But now that's changed.
Of course, Jenna, it might be in an email that was hidden
it's not
in your inbox.
It's come to me, so
yeah.
You put in the wrong folder.
So it's just, I mean, it's silly little things, but it's things that like should be communicated and not just assumed we would know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Can I just say, I do think that Russell addressed the fact that he realized communication had kind of slipped by the wayside in his email to the staff today. So I do think Russell's aware of it. Down to that tiny detail about jerseys, I'm not sure. But he did mention a couple of happenings in the school this last week that we kind of knew nothing about. And so I do think he's aware that we're feeling all of this. And yeah. I also just want to say, like, I'm one of those teachers who my subject's not considered core. So I, even besides staff disconnect, I have a disconnect with the students. And yes, I'm babysitting, but it's not the same. And that's also quite difficult to deal with.
I can imagine, because if I was in your situation, Irene, I would be going crazy.
I learned about this today, that there's like a focus on certain subjects and other teachers just have to put their subjects by the wayside. Wow. Yeah. So Alison, before you...
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, except that I'm one of the core subjects and the kids couldn't give a damn. I mean, I teach English, they have to pass English, but one would never think so to judge by the small amount of work that they are doing. And their story is always that they are catching up work in other subjects, but I don't think it's true. I think they're playing us off against each other and ducking the work as far as they possibly can. But the thing I wanted to say is that, I used to see I've got a little grade 8 reg class, and I used to see them 3 times a day, every day. And now I see them once a week. And,
it's not enough.
I'm their mommy, and I'm not seeing my babies,
Yeah, I really, you're going to hear, whenever you work with me, whatever you sign up for, connection is priority, and it's going to be priority now more than ever. I'm hazarding a guess from my experience and my knowledge that next year is going to be worse. The fallout from this next year, not worse as in the structure and the lockdown, but the emotional response that you're going to see in these kids, it's going to show up in all sorts of ways. And so, Alison, I wouldn't be surprised if these kids are hedging. I would be doing exactly the same if I was a teenager, because I am so overwhelmed. I cannot cope. And I cannot. And I need to be on my phone, connecting with my friend, talking about nonsense instead of doing my English, because I can't find a way to do it, you know. So I'm not saying the behavior is okay. It's an indicator of the level of stress.
Disruption.
Disruption. Yeah. So absolutely, and motivation came up. I think Carly was the one who spoke about lack of motivation in the learners, but also in herself. And so I'm going to put together something around motivation, where just for you, for your school, and whichever teachers wants to show up for that, and it'll be a kind of experiential, let's talk about motivation, let's get underneath it, and what can you do in class and what can you do for yourself. Not mental intensive, but just hopefully very supportive. So that's very much in my awareness as well.
Kate, I don't know if this is the forum, but is it, or if this is the kind of thing you're asking, but the one thing that bothers me is the non-compliance or defiance of some girls, not most of them. And it's like it comes across that they don't care that they're putting other people at risk, because they're not at risk. So therefore, if I don't wear my mask, if I hang on to my friend, if I take selfies with my friend, the fact that it puts girls with comorbidities at risk and staff members at risk, well, it's not my problem. Is this the forum to discuss that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bigger conversation than what we potentially have time for tonight, because it speaks to something going on underneath. You know, all of these behaviors, something's driving the behavior, and so if we take a moment and just, what does it give those girls? So to blatantly I don't know, kind of go, I'm doing this and not that. What does it give them? Gives them a sense of power. Yeah. And power can feel like control. Yeah. Or like power and control go together. And if I can control something, I'm okay.
Yeah. But some girls also, aren't they all feeling like that? It's just that some girls realize, no matter how horrible things are for me, I still need to be considerate of the fact that other people might be at risk. So even though I'm not at risk, other people might be at risk. So therefore I must be careful, because I don't want to put somebody else in danger.
Absolutely. So what you're speaking about there is empathy and is awareness of the other.
Yeah.
So when we're under heightened stress and we're in we'll call it a survival mode, our prefrontal cortex goes offline, and that is the part that helps us relate to another person, that helps us think through that whole thought process that you went through. That is not available to someone whose brain is in survival mode. They literally cannot connect that, which sounds radical, and they're like, but how can you not get that? So a lot depends on their backgrounds, what's happening at home, what happened when they were very little, like all sorts of factors come into play. And the way in is not to go, you need to wear, you must wear your mask, that is the rule, because all that does is make them more defensive and more what's the word, belligerent, is that the right word? Is that so kind of, it's almost like you've got to build connection first, because connection brings safety, and then when we connected, I can talk to you about why it's important.
Yeah.
But if you are going up against a child's survival strategy, you will not win. Guaranteed. because their survival
Yeah.
strategy is stronger, you know.
It,
So,
yeah.
and it's so counterintuitive, you know. It's like, why must I connect with this child who's being badly behaved and putting all these people, you know, in danger? But it is the way in.
Yeah,
does that
it's a bit difficult on break duty though, when
or
yeah.
after school duty.
Yeah.
And so and so
Kate,
this is,
can
go ahead.
I just ask a question? Are we having any kind of like pastoral care groups or anything for the students? Because if we feeling like we need this and we need to talk and we need to connect, the children must be feeling it as much. And I just feel there should be some kind of regular pastoral care groups for the girls, like at least once a week, where class gets together and chats about things. Or I don't know how it should look, but I really think if we need it, my gosh, they need it.
They need times to be just relaxed, because I mean, it's not their fault and it's not our fault. This thing happened, but the expectations on all bodies, teachers, on students, on parents, I think they're very overwhelmed just to be kids. You know, I mean, I've got 3 kids of my own, so I do get both sides, but they just want to be kids. They want to get back to normal, whether normal comes back or not, I don't know. But I'm finding with my eldest, the lack of sport and the lack of being together with their friends or in their club, or, I mean, whatever it is. It's like you saying, our belonging as a staff is missing. The belonging for the girls, be it like Alison says, her reg class, and Jenna's also, you know, we're all reg teachers. They're missing that belonging, you know. So I'm there with you, Irene. I think I know the academics is important, and don't get me wrong, academics is important, but it's such a write-off of a year that I think we need to be looking at their emotional well-being. So I'm very much there with Irene.
Absolutely.
I mean, my girl said the thing they miss the most is registration.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you know, you so seldom see your whole class all together because they split between 2 rooms, you know, and but at the same time, you know, I had a thought today, you know, following Russell's assemblies the other day when he said they've got a voice and they must come and voice their concerns and they must bring somebody that they feel safe with, and you know, all these things about keeping the children feeling safe, but nobody's doing that for us, whether we feel safe, whether we have a voice. And today I had the thought that it's almost like the tail is wagging the dog, that the kids now feel, and I know they're insecure, I know all that, but at the same time, I get the feeling that they don't respect us as teachers anymore, if they ever did. I don't know whether the rest of you agree with me, but well, okay, so in my subject we teach a novel which is set in South Africa in 1961, and it has all the attendant apartheid stuff in it, and they are complaining about the novel as they have never complained before. They offended by it, they hurt by it, they made angry by it, and it, instead of being able to, I'm petrified to teach the novel. I'm absolutely petrified that I'm going to say the wrong word or the wrong thing, or and I've never felt like that before. I mean, I've taught for 40 years, but I'm afraid.
So I'm going to say a couple things here. The first is, I think we should have written this entire year off and just done social emotional learning, of course.
Amen. I believe that.
You know? And the second thing is, Alison, I don't think this, I understand, like I'm really hearing you on the fear and the concern, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Yeah, it's tricky. It's a tough negotiation. I'm very happy to have more conversation about this and structures and things you can put in place to be able to engage with this in a safe way. It's important that these discussions take place, and they seem more emotionally responsive to things because their baseline of stress is higher. They are more susceptible. We're all more emotional. How many of you have like reacted to things that you would never have reacted to before? So yes, it's stressful as a teacher, and I think it is an incredible opportunity to start engaging with some really tough stuff. But to do that, you as the teacher need support. Yeah, so like I'm putting that in there. And so again, just a perception. These types of conversations are going to get more intense over the next few months. You're going to see the influence of the US kick up. Black Lives Matter is massive. So, you know, there's going to be heading up into the presidential elections, and we're very influenced. Teenagers, social media is heavily weighted from people based in the US. So these types of conversations and these types of dialogues are going to come up, and children are going to lean, or not, but I think they're going to lean towards conversations that are confrontational. Because they're desperately trying to find a place to be able to talk about it's not even conscious. Yeah, but you know, if they don't have someone to talk to at home, this goes back to what Irene was saying. If they don't feel safe, sorry, go, yes, Susan? Sorry,
the problem is, Kate, we actually cannot safely express our own opinions on anything. We've actually been told not to express an opinion if it's on a controversial topic. So the children want to push these things, but a teacher has got to say what is in line with policy. Does that make sense? So if you have a differing opinion on a particular matter, or if you feel that something in the media is being incorrectly portrayed, or maybe portrayed in a biased manner or whatever, I'm just giving an example, you actually can't say it. You know what I mean? So the kids are safe and they want to push the boundaries, but we've got to
toe the line.
We've got to toe the line. We can't even say, this is my opinion. And you know what, I think that the media are biased about such and such. I don't think they're impartial. I think they only give one point of view on such and such an issue. We just have to zip it. But the kids can be confrontational. It's not fair.
I hear what you're saying, and
all right, my subject is science, so it doesn't frequently happen. But I mean, like Alison's subject, yeah.
So I'll say a couple of things. I agree with you on that. It is challenging to not be able to put down a perspective. And from my experience, so I used to teach, so I work a lot with sex education, so I used to go and teach some of the sex ed part of the allo curriculum in different schools, and I used to have a question jar that kids could put anonymous questions in, and so we had lessons where we pick questions out. I know, right? The best ever. And pick questions out, and you never know what you're going to get. And the one question was around, why is masturbation bad? Okay, so I was like, that's a great question. So, but what I did was 16-year-olds, co-ed school, 25 of them. It was brilliant. Sure. And what I allowed was, I didn't say anything. Every single possible perspective came up, and all I invited was discussion around it. It is okay to feel, think, believe what you believe, but it's not okay to then project it onto someone else. And so I didn't comment at all about anything, even though in my head at some point there were some very strong thoughts about what I wanted to say and some of the things that kids had been taught. I think there is a way to navigate the space, because teenagers or high school students are not going to leave a stone unturned, right? If that one says that, another one wants to say something that's the opposite. And I think so much of what our role is to be able to navigate, to help them see how to navigate tough conversations. And even though you may not agree with what the student's saying on any level, I don't think we need to kind of correct or direct when it comes to these emotionally driven things.
But we can't even comment. That's the point.
But what would you be commenting on?
Because our child has asked me what I thought about a particular thing, and I was like, I fobbed her off. And she looked very confused, because she obviously thought that we had some kind of trust relationship, and it was quite obvious that I was fobbing her off.
I see. Okay, I see what you mean. So if you've been asked a direct question,
what do I think of such and such? And I was like, well, the syllabus says.
Oh, wow. Oh, really? So.
Well, I was like, well, and yeah, and she looked like, she looked confused. She didn't understand why I was being so vague, because she was, she just, I mean, we're assuming, I mean, surely some intelligent kids realize that social media doesn't know everything. You know, and they'd like to know what an adult has to say about something, and maybe their parent, and besides their parents, or maybe their parents don't discuss things with them. I don't know.
A lot of their parents.
I mean, are we going to leave them to social media for opinions?
Oh, I mean, I'm well with you here. I'm well with you here. Yeah, this is a big one, and probably worth a conversation and more conversation. Is this something you want me to take to Russell? That's my question.
But the thing is, we'll look at the situation he's in. I mean, everything. The school is so high profile. You know what I mean? I know why he said it, to protect us. But
people have lost their jobs in the past because of things that have been said in the classroom.
Yeah.
And then it's gone into the outside world and been reported in a negative way. One side of the story has been reported, and not both sides of the story. And then teachers have been forced to resign. So that's why it's being said, rather just shut your mouth.
Yeah, no, I understand why he said it, but it's,
So we understand why, but it's just difficult, because in certain situations, we really should just speak up. For the sake of the girls.
Yeah, and these are really important things, because what are you modeling in that moment to these girls? Exactly. And so, yeah, so this is a tough one. I have absolutely no solution at this point, besides dialoguing and kind of having having more conversation with management, because these conversations are not going away. And I'm sure you've seen them get, over the years, just grow,
They have, absolutely.
So yeah, it needs a I don't know what it needs, but a new set of skills are needing to be taught now than what they were 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. And those skills, a lot of them are imparted through how you interact with the girls.
Kate, can I just make a comment? You didn't mention the workshop that I did from your website. It was about naming your feelings.
Oh, the emotional wellness.
The emotional, the basic course. And I just think that's something the girls could actually even do, because that was very, very illuminating for me. Not that I feel like I don't know how to name my feelings, but just the way it was structured and the things that you got to do. I'm even going to do it with my daughter and my granddaughter and just talk about it and give them that list, because I just think it's so helpful. And yeah, and I just think the girls could really benefit. Like you said, that in the workshop, you said, you know, you've got to separate the sensation from what am I actually feeling. And I just think that's so important. The girls don't do that. For them, they go straight into the emotion. And that could be very helpful for the students, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I teach that across the board, no matter where I start with. You know, I used to do a lot of work with families, and it would be, you know, creating safe spaces to name what you feel, you know. So yeah, so Russell did ask me would I work with the girls, and I said absolutely, but that's a different kind of program to what, you know, what we're working with now. However, they really overlap. If we look at motivation, if we look at naming feelings, creating safety, being able to discuss tough stuff, it's all in the mix, you know. I'm sad. Like it saddens me that you have to zip it. It saddens me that we don't have the skill sets to navigate these very challenging things, or the structures. So yeah,
I think also the fear factor is big amongst the staff. I think it's very inhibiting. I'm just talking from my own point of view.
I agree.
It's very, I don't know how everyone else feels, but I think the fear factor is very inhibiting.
The fear of being misrepresented and being accused
misunderstood, misunderstood, misrepresented, maybe even not being eloquent enough to say what it is you're really trying to say, like you say, not being able to navigate the discussion well, and then the next minute you're in hot water and bang, it all goes south. Yeah,
it is. And this conversation I was in this earlier on this afternoon was regarding what on the surface looks like a big racism divide in the school, and it's tough, and teachers are so overwhelmed. I don't know if overwhelmed is the right word. They're just like, let's put our heads down, and unfortunately we can't do that. I don't think we've ever been able to do that, but now more than ever. And I really feel that there are kind of like literally there's basics that you can start, and by basics I don't mean like simple practical steps that you can put in place that are effective, not that they are junior. Do you know what I mean? Like the difference there, they're just simple and effective that start to build containers of trust and connection, of safety for everyone in the classroom, including the teacher. And from that place, you can discuss tough stuff. You can't discuss the challenging stuff unless the structures are in place. So yeah, there's a lot, and that goes both ways. That goes working with teachers to build it, but then also working with the girls. You know, this is it. This is and yeah, and it's a tricky one to try and integrate now because of where we are and the stress that we have, but it is absolutely possible to make small changes that start to shift, you know, the environment.
I mean, I'm just thinking we don't even have those discussions as a staff, to be honest. We've never really talked about these issues as a community, as a staff, as a people, amongst ourselves, and felt safe. And
I mean, the year started off end of last year and started off well with the plan to have staff development and know each other. And I mean, our first one was really good.
Yes.
But we just haven't had this year and the opportunity to continue on with that. I think the plan was there for us to have
I
those.
agree.
We just
Can't we
haven't-
just restart 2020, please?
yeah, we'll just get to 2020.
Or let it go
Fast
totally and
forward
start
to
2021.
2021.
I'm done.
Yes. Agree with you, Sally.
And so this is what your girls are feeling when they go, oh, I had math and actually I had English, and they're feeling the same. Like, can we just be done with 2020? You know. And yeah, so there's lots. Thank you for sharing so much. I really appreciate hearing and understanding more. You know.
Can I just also ask one thing? I know I'm not in the classroom so much, but I've had a lot of feedback from girls in the library about the length of the lessons.
Sure.
I don't know how the teachers feel, but
No,
the
it's
kids are finding the lesson length quite tough, and saying they can't focus for that whole length of time, and their concentration isn't great for that whole time. So I think that's
I can understand it when it's when they're in a lesson where the teacher is literally lecturing for that whole 80 minutes.
Yeah,
I can totally understand it.
Yeah.
but also just giving them a break, like making them stand up. Because I was talking to some of the library monitors,
Yeah,
and I said,
do that.
do some teachers allow you, like after a certain amount of time, to stand up, maybe just walk around your desk, or I don't know, just relax, do a few star jumps, or do whatever it is that rows your boat. And they said some do, but some don't. And they said some lessons are obviously more difficult to focus for that length of time than others. But they weren't talking about staff delivery. They were talking more about themselves and that inability to focus and concentrate like they want to for that length of time. And I really think we need to look at that, because we're expecting so much from them. But I don't know if
it's as staff.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
for you to teach for 80 minutes. So they say optimum concentration time is between 20 and 25 minutes before you need a brain reset. Yeah.
I mean, that's
So if you break up the lesson into 20 minutes, and then you literally need to have a timeout to give your brain just a moment, and then come back. And it's not long, 30 seconds, 1 minute, and then come back again. So it's quite a lot of kind of brain science around that. So I'll mention it. It's definitely worth
please do.
bringing in. Okay. And the other thing I just want to bring up, I'm not rushing. I'm here. We don't have to go anywhere. I don't want to keep anybody after 8 if you want to go. Is yesterday the teachers mentioned there are no boundaries around when girls can contact you and not.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, second up on my agenda with Russell on Monday is that needs to change. You cannot have girls contacting you at 8 o'clock at night, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't know when they contact you. You cannot. So I don't know if anybody was gonna bring that up. And I know it's tough to kind of lay that boundary and not respond, but I think if it's an official kind of school, like this is our policy now. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I'm seeing head nods, so I'm thinking, is that a good thing?
Can I? Oh, okay, I'll go. Go, Jenna. I'll go after you.
Personally, I don't mind it. It's also because during the day when you're so busy at school, and especially now that we are in the alternate days, you're not necessarily able to answer the questions that you're getting during the day from the girls. So I may only get a chance to do my admin per se once my day is ended and I'm at home, which may only be after 6 o'clock, and when I'm sitting doing my catch-up work at night. So I might only be answering messages at 7, 8 o'clock at night and responding to girls at that time. So I'm okay with them with having a conversation with them and responding to them at that hour, because I'm the one answering their questions at that hour, because that's at the time that I have available to respond to them, because the day has just been too hectic for me to get to them earlier on.
What worries me about that is that
But
that's you, but if you allow it, then they expect the rest of us to allow it as well. And you know, when you've taught 3 lessons at school and you've been on screening and you've been on break duty and you've had afternoon school duty, and then you come home and you've got a mark, I don't want to talk to them. But if some of us are allowing it and some of us are not, then they have no boundaries. Yeah.
It's that expectation that's so difficult, you know.
Mm.
And that's what I'm finding difficult as a teacher and the grade controller. I mean, I had a girl message me at 2:22 a.m. the other morning as grade controller. And I mean, luckily I didn't hear it, but I'm also a mom with 3 young kids. So it's very difficult. And everyone's got their own families and situations, but it's very difficult to switch off when you're starting to get messages 6, 7, 8. And it's, what's that expectation? What, like, if you don't answer, what's going to happen? If you do answer, what's going to happen? It's this expectation that, so take me out of the grade controller as a person, the expectation of what is expected from us. And it's not necessarily from the school, but it's from parents, from the learners, from everybody. It's quite a fine line that I'm finding quite difficult as a person.
Yeah. And it's hard because you know that they need help, and so it tugs on all those parts of us that want to give support. And so I'm going to get quite fierce about this with Russell, and I know that it seems like it's okay to be answering that. The question is not so much, Jen, that, oh, it's okay, like, for me to answer it, it's not. It's like, how do we make time during your day so that you don't have to answer messages at night, even if it feels okay? And so there's a lot in here. We're setting precedents, we're lining up expectations, and I think we have to be very careful, because this is not sustainable. It's not.
No, I agree.
It's not kind, it's not useful. If you have time with your family and that recharges you, and half your mind is there and not present with the humans that you love, this is tough, you know. And so we've kind of adapted and made it okay, but actually it's not, in my opinion. But it isn't, and I think it feels okay, Jen, because of, you know, where you're at, and I don't know what's your life situation.
I'm totally single, no kids, so I come home to me, myself, and us.
Exactly. And sometimes it is nice then to be able to sit down and drop into answering things when you're not rushed.
And my school kids are my everything, so I've got everything for them.
Yeah.
That's just me.
So there's a balance and a negotiation here, but there's something. What happens, Jen? Right? You meet someone of whatever flavor next week. Oh, and it is love, and they want to see you every evening, and then you're chatting, and then you're WhatsApping, and then the girls are saying, "But Miss, I see you online. Why are you not answering my question?" Now what? Yeah. Oh dear. How do we backpedal? Right. So I'm making problems. We have problems, right? and so it's not even now. It could be next year, and so I mean, I'm not making light of the situation. I'm just kind of pointing to that, and I get it. I mean, look, my working hours are completely erratic, you know. But this is important. It's important for your well-being that this is boundaried.
There's also the factor that we did have a lot of children who didn't have data and blah blah at conventional times, so the leeways kind of crept in that yes, they'll work because you get free data late at night, and that's when they sending their queries. So I don't know about other teachers, but when I was fending off queries, I felt almost obligated to answer those girls late at night if I was up and I actually received the
much
message.
nicer person than I am.
I never felt that way. I didn't have to reply.
My sleeping habits were terrible, so I was up at that time, so I was
No,
responding.
Yeah, you see, I was probably a bit like Jen, but I don't agree that it's right. I understand that it's wrong, but out of necessity or care or concern or whatever it was, I got into that pattern.
But now again, we need to
redefine
orientate to the current moment. Yeah, what is it now, and not just make assumptions that what we were doing is okay for right now.
But it's not, it actually hasn't been, I mean, since they've come back to school, I can't say that I've had messages or any queries, to be honest.
Oh no, my WhatsApp's been going wild. With the
Mine hasn't, so I'm all
Mute
good.
it.
Yeah, I'm even too scared to look at it now.
Don't. This is your nighttime challenge from me.
Mute it. Look in the morning.
Don't look at it tonight. So I mean, I really, I want to say that I really empathize when all this happened. So I manage about three, probably more, probably close on 4,000 people in a variety of WhatsApp groups and telegrams and stuff. So I completely understand. And when someone's messaging you that they're stressed and they can't cope, and there's like the first 6 weeks into lockdown, I was a mess. I was 222 hours waking up and responding to messages, and I was in tears every day. Oh no, it was horrible. It was not fun. But now I had to find the boundaries and I'm better, and I had to work through those moments of like, oh, I feel guilty for not responding. I feel like, and so those are our internal dynamics that we have to contend with and meet and journey with to get to a place where it's okay to say no. And this is, teachers are not historically good at this.
I was just going to say, all of us are perfectionists and we all want to please. And that's, I mean, Russell's never really put the pressure on us. I mean, in all his dealings with us, he's always, like in all our meetings with him, and he's been very much worried about our well-being as staff. You know, that's what, what he has said, and he's often said it, you know, in our meetings and discussions. So, but as teachers and everyone that's on the chat now, I think our drive is to be very good at what we do. You know, we want the best for our learners. We want the best, you know, that's who we are. And I think we feel that we're letting the team down if we don't do something straight away. But like you said, there has to be that boundary line that you're not going to be judged if you don't do it straight away or something comes up along the way.
Yeah, can I just say, I read this thing and it said one of the differences, I know this is a stereotype, but I think it's frequently correct, is that the difference between men and women is that women let everything affect everything else, and men compartmentalize their lives. So I'll deal with work, I'll deal with family, I'll deal with this, and I think maybe we should learn from that. And this is work, and then I put the work aside, and it's family, or it's personal time, or it's something else, or it's friends, and I don't think we should let our work time, you know, let our work time, when I go home or I've done my work for the day, And if children want to message me at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night, well, they can wait till the next day before I answer. Because it's not work time anymore.
Right, and there's so many factors. There's so many factors at play around that. And some people find it easier to do, and others not so easy. And the reasons for that are, there's a multitude that sit behind that choice. Whether it's, Jen, I got time. Like, it's me and Netflix. Of course I can answer these questions, you know. And Sharon, for you, like, it sounds like you're very clear on that.
Well, I'm also older. I used to be like Jen. So
and so that's also, so
yeah.
I think the question is, if we look at the skills that I really believe are necessary now. So let's put this in perspective, okay? These girls are at home, they're messaging you, you're messaging them late at night. Their parents are receiving messages all the time from work and troubleshooting in their lives. There's no boundaries at home. You know, what are we actually teaching in that moment? Yeah. So we're saying instant gratification, which is already a tricky one. That saying no is not okay. That taking care of ourselves is secondary to someone else's needs. That's what we're telling them every time we don't stick to a boundary and take care of ourselves. Tricky, right?
Sure.
So it's like, oh, hold on. What do I want these girls to learn? You know, it's what's underneath. Yeah. So it's this, and if we can put these kind of perspectives on it, then it might be easier to go, actually, it's important that they know about boundaries. And if they kick up against it, it's important for us to be able to go, like, I hear that you're really frustrated. The next day, let's say, you sent me 25 messages. I understand that you were needing help and that you were feeling really frustrated. And it is important for me to take time out to rest. Otherwise, I cannot be my best self for you every day. And what have you shown in that interaction?
Sure.
Something else. So, is that making sense? I think there's a way that these become incredibly potent invitations to do things differently and to respect. And those kind of conversations with your girls invite connection. And then you build on trust, and you build on, so I know you're probably thinking, Kate, when am I actually going to get to have time to have that kind of conversation with a child? We'll get there, one step at a time, one step at a time. So these are all the things like that I want to engage with you as teachers. Okay, cool. So we said, let's put in boundaries. How on earth do we do that?
Yeah.
And then we go on a process, we go on a journey, and it's not intensive, and it's not like you have to change your whole world. It's do one little thing different this week. Yeah? And then in 3 or 4 months' time, you'll be like, oh wow, I don't even get SMSs after 6 or WhatsApps after 6 o'clock. How did that happen? So you know what I mean? Like, and it's a slow change. And I guess I'm highlighting that because I definitely don't want this to feel like, oh my gosh, another thing that I have to attend, another person I have to listen to, another WhatsApp group I have to check. Kate sent me another list. Yeah, I don't want it to have that feeling, because you're not gonna want to show up in these places if it comes with that emotional heaviness. So I'm open to creating and playing and designing whatever ways that we can meet you, where I can meet you to help shape and craft and shift and change in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. So yeah, I mean, I'm saying that because it is important, and I'm also really recognizing that there's so much to do in your day. So I mean, I'm just appreciative that I got an hour of your time I feel like incredibly, this is a blessing to have all this information.
But Kate, you know how wonderful it has been. I must say, I'm actually just chatting and having the time to chat. It's actually,
it's nice.
I'm already feeling better.
I wasn't looking forward to this today, but this has turned out to be really awesome. So,
I agree.
I think just listening to everybody and realizing we've all got the same problems, I think has been very valuable. Because I think we get ourselves into a little bubble of anxiety and fret and work. Yeah. Something that I found frustrating is we still don't seem to have clarity on whether we can arrive in time to teach our class. Russell did say that we could leave as soon as our duties were done.
And we can arrive when we need to be there and leave when we're done.
Okay,
as long as
so
you do duties and everything.
We say half an hour before.
Okay, so for instance, on Friday, I have screening at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I teach at 1:15.
But you have to be there the whole day.
So I have to be there the whole day.
Yeah,
And in the meantime, my car license needs renewing. And
you're going to be in the queue for 5 hours anyway.
Got good online, right? That's the thing. Okay. So
is your car on hire purchase? Because if it is, your finance company can do it for you.
No.
It's Saturday morning, Alison. You'll be there for 5 hours.
Then I won't want to walk, Sharon.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
But perhaps that's a conversation, you know. I mean, I would definitely do it online. I don't like waiting in queues at all. But perhaps that's
good.
Yeah,
well, I'm sure if you went to Russell and said to him, listen, I really need to do this. I've got all this time. Would it be possible for me to go across to the post office and go and sit in the queue while I have nothing else to do? He would be okay with you doing that.
You think he'd be okay with that?
I'm pretty sure he would be.
If I can actually get to see him, you mean?
Yes.
One of the others.
We'll just send him an email, Alison.
And a WhatsApp. Send him an email and a WhatsApp now at 10 o'clock. Oh, I'm stirring the pot. I'm sure he has messages going at all hours as well. Okay. All right, so I'm aware it's almost 8:20. So again, I'm not rushing, but if people do want to go, I wanted to ask one last thing. I firmly believe in this kind of getting together and having a conversation, and it's something that I thought might be quite useful to kind of offer into the space. Like, wouldn't be often, maybe once a month or whatever it was, just to say, hey, we're having a little chit chat, maximum 10 people. If I have to schedule, you know, like a whole bunch more, that's also, you know, fine. But would that be something that, and of course you can show up or not show up, would that be something while we're in this still, you know, COVID kind of time? Okay.
I think it would be awesome.
Absolutely.
All right.
Be lovely.
And so if you are enjoying this type of thing, then really do check out the support pods, because that's what they essentially are going to be. And not only teachers from Westville, there'll be teachers from all over. But I think it's nice to have school specific as well. You know, where we can dialogue like this. Yeah. Okay.
Kate, have you found that teachers at other schools have exactly the same problems as we do? Or are ours Westville specific? Or
there's a lot of similarities. So you're the first school where I have so many of the staff. There's 90 staff enrolled in the wellbeing program. So the other group, it's individuals. Whole schools haven't got on board. I'm hoping that starts to change now, but very similar. Very, very similar. Certainly around different between obviously private schools and government schools. I know you guys are the middle ground, right? You
we want to be private. Yeah,
want to be. Oh, is it want to be? Want to be private. I love it. Want to be private. That's brilliant. I want to be private. Yeah. So okay. Yes, I'm seeing, particularly with the teachers, I'm seeing a lot of similarity, certainly in the questions that teachers are asking. In the Telegram group, teachers ask me questions privately that I then reflect on, and very, very similar. How do we motivation? How do we navigate all of this? The uncertainty, the worry, the dealing with fear, all of those types of things are very similar. Lack of communication. So in government schools, a lot of the frustration is that it's just, well, I suppose for everybody, but like government's nowhere, right? No offense to the education department, but however, there's things happening. So I'm in a meeting with, I don't know, government-y people tomorrow, discussing how we as private, service providers can offer this kind of social emotional learning and whatever support into the system. So maybe we'll start to see some. It's not going to happen fast, but those are good sort of steps. Fortunately, you're in a school, and let me tell you, I don't know all your relationship with Russell, but to have a principal phone me and say my staff is priority it's unusual, right? So I think he's a captive, a receptive audience to everything that we're saying here. And I think there are things that can be fine-tuned that you've just kind of had to do up until now, and now is like, hold on, actually that's not working. Not having a staff room is not working.
Yeah.
And I mean, Russell's very, like I said earlier, he does care about his staff, and I think that's what's so nice about him, is that he does think about it, think about us, and in all his discussions and all his meetings, he always, somewhere in a conversation, he always worries about how we are doing.
We definitely have to.
And I do think for them as management, it must be really difficult as well. I mean, we're feeling overwhelmed, and we're not dealing with whatever's coming through that
parents
and emails and department stuff that they have to do, not that they really want to do, but they have to do, and I'm not defending, but I am, because I think it's a very tough job at the top there. I don't think I would like to be on that corridor some days. So we are grateful for what they're doing, but I think also as people, we're just finding the pressure quite overwhelming, I think.
And this is why we're engaged in these conversations, so we can find out, so that I can find out and I can feed back, and we can look at it and we can say, let's try this, and did that help? No? Okay, let's try this. Oh, it helped for some people, but not for others. And slowly we start to put together an environment that's very supportive, and not just now. Even when everything goes back to, it's not even normal or the new normal, whatever it is, when life continues and you are teaching without masks and you're back with your full class, the things you start developing now are going to really support everything going forward. Because before COVID, you guys needed support. So what COVID has done is it's shaken things and really highlighted
exposure.
This is a priority. And let me tell you, I work with teachers from all over the world. This is every teacher I've spoken to from the US to Australia is feeling the same. Okay, maybe not every single, but you know what I mean? We're getting this, like huge in the States. They've just gone back to school, and
the fear factor, hey?
What are we doing? How are we doing it? Like, can we focus on social emotional learning, and what does that mean? And then, like you say, the added layer of parents. I mean, I don't have kids myself, but my younger sister's got 2 littlies, 5 and 2, and it's been tough working from home and having kiddies, and it's been a massive negotiation, and we haven't had a moment to catch our breath.
Mm.
What have you guys had? 1 week holiday since March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next one is in about 8 weeks' time or something. I mean, it's
And it's
bizarre.
like 4 days long.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have to structure in pauses, mini breaks, timeouts during our day, moments of connection, cup of coffee with a friend. What's it else? They were saying that you guys, I got to talk about the grade 11 quad and commandeering that as a teacher. So I've been given the lowdown. Like, that's what we did. So
The infamous grade 11 quad.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Every school's got one, you know. But it's
muffins in the library.
you know, the art
Irene.
department, was it Nirvana that was saying, come to the art department and have tea, you know?
Yes,
And those are all incredibly beautiful options, and it's still good to have a central place, you know, where you can go and you know I'm likely to bump into someone, and talking about if you've got a free period, make the effort to connect with someone and go and sit outside and have a chat, not when it's raining, and have a chat, or misty, or whatever else happens in I remember I lived in Durban.
My exercise group, guys.
Yeah, exercise
After school.
Simple things. Are we moving every day? You mentioned walking. Movement. Are the girls moving every day?
No.
Yeah.
I think they must be missing.
They can't even walk up the hill without being exhausted.
Yeah, you see the girls. Yeah, the teachers.
But you know, they've got no outlet. I mean, they can't play sport. They can't do societies. They, you know, I mean, they've got no creative outlet. They've got no physical outlet. No wonder they are rebellious. I mean, especially the ADHD kids, you know.
Right. And so if we're not lowering we're not burning through our stress responses, which are happening constantly, they just stack up on top of each other, and they affect our ability to concentrate, to retain information, to learn new information, to think consequentially, to have empathy. Those are the things that get shut down. All our higher, you know, like our high functioning kind of parts of our brain. So moving, and if you can start incorporating little bits of movement throughout your day, you start to just kind of take the edge off. So there's a wonderful, last thing I'll say on this, is a wonderful lady, her name is Emily Nagoski. She's a neuroscientist, and she wrote a book on burnout. And she says to counteract, just in the studies they did, to counteract our stress responses every day, we need at least 30 minutes of kind of high intensity where our heart rate is up, exercise every day to kind of complete those stress cycles. So imagine how much stress sits in our system after, what was it, 6 weeks, 3 months? When could we, you know, and so we've got a backlog, guys. We've got a backlog is what I'm saying, and the girls have a backlog. So you can, to start introducing this in your day, you know, Jenna's exercise group is on it, whether you walk, whether you dance, whether you, I don't know, do yoga, whatever it is, but that movement is absolutely essential, whatever's within your kind of capability and in your range. You would have seen it with your little ones, right? Like how much they need to move. You know? Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah. Oh, and here's the interesting thing. So for me, when I'm stressed and I'm in the survival black and white mode, I get tense and I contract and I don't move. It's my first signal that I'm heading out of balance, is that I don't want to move. I don't do exercise today. I don't want to. No, I don't want to dance. I don't want to put music on. I don't want to. You know, there's that kind of like, no, it's so much effort. I'm too tired. I have all the excuses in the book.
Yeah.
So this is just very important to move. You know, every day. I don't know if you can send your girls walking around. I can't remember Westville, the school. I can't remember the layout, but you know, can they walk around the school? You know, so you start building these things in, because if you can take half an hour in the day for the girls to exercise, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and you cut back on other lessons, you're going to have higher functioning and more concentration out of those girls. So these are the adjustments that I think are needed for them and you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've got a big enough field. Taking a walk around there.
Yeah. And the sunshine, the vitamin D. So if you're not getting that, you feel low, you feel demotivated.
Music over the intercom.
Music, dance. I mean, who knows? Who knows what you do? I mean, I remember this. So we don't know how we incorporate this, but could you imagine like getting into a class and you've had a really tough day? It's, I don't know, for a fifth period. I can't even remember what the periods are in school. And the girls, you look at them and they're exhausted, and you go, okay, we're gonna dance. Let's choose a song, right? 4 minutes dancing. You have created togetherness, connection, stress release, and sure, maybe it'll take you another 3 or 4 minutes to get them settled down. You've got laughter, you've got energy, you've got excitement. Right? So these, there's lots. I feel that there's lots of things that you can start to include, which maybe don't feel possible right now because of, I've got to get through this. What's the next thing on my to-do list?
Can I add in one other word that I honestly hate? It's the social distancing, and we have physical distancing. And that,
absolutely.
Oh, it's like a swear word in my vocabulary at the moment, because no one's abiding by it, but you have to say it all the time, and it's just driving
so
me
change
nuts.
it. Physical distancing, absolutely. You can sit your girls down in the class and you can say, okay, so whatever subject you are on, and you're going to do some square breathing. Okay, you're going to put your hands on your heart, and I want you to imagine that we're all connected by a red thread. Can you feel like, so even though we're distant, and even if you are on the screen, you can. So I feel that there's lots of creative ways, simple ways that we can start inviting that connection back in.
We can.
So that's Alison, it was so funny when you started talking about your set book. I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to be talking about 50 Shades of Grey, and I was like, this is going to be I'm determined to use that as a set book for sex education, because it talks about all sorts of dynamics. I mean, horribly written. I couldn't read the first 3 pages because there were 27 spelling mistakes. It was just amazing. But I think there's possibility for to invite this kind of lightness and laughter in, and as you can tell, I can go on for days about how to do that in a classroom, because that's my favorite. And if those types of options can feel far away when we're in the type of stress that we're in right now. Okay. Is everyone good? Can we say good night?
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank
Thank you very much,
Thank
Kate.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
It was really lovely meeting you. I'm going to send out a recording and a little summary of what we've spoken about. If anything else comes to mind, please just send me an email.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Kate. It's been
Thank
lovely.
you.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Cheers, everybody. Sleep tight.
Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.